What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to talk about the practice of protein spiking, also known as amino acid spiking. Now, a lot of you guys are probably already familiar with what this practice is. However, for those who aren't, let me quickly describe it. So, protein spiking is when extra sources of nitrogen, other than whole intact proteins, are added into a supplement, so that way a company can then claim that that product has more protein, more total complete protein, than it actually has. I'll go into a bit more detail. So using whey protein as an example. Whey protein is made up of a variety of different amino acids in relatively standard amounts. Protein spiking is when a company would take that whey protein and add additional sources of nitrogen to it, stuff like free-form amino acids, creatine, or sometimes even harmful dense sources of nitrogen. So why would a company do this, and what's the problem? Over the years, the price per pound of whey protein has continued to climb. Rather than taking a hit on their profit margin or raising their prices, some companies have found a loophole. Because many of the tests used to determine the protein content of a supplement do so by measuring its total nitrogen content, some companies will take whey protein or whole protein and add these additional sources of nitrogen to it, which are cheaper to buy, and that way they can then pass that supplement off as having more total complete protein than it actually has. So here's an example to illustrate. Let's say a company says that this particular protein contains 25 grams of whey protein per scoop, and they verified that through nitrogen testing. Rather than using 25 grams of whole whey protein, the company could save money by just using 10 or 11 grams of whey protein and then adding some of those additional sources of nitrogen to it, like the cheaper amino acids or the creatine, and that way they can then pass this supplement off as having 25 grams of whole intact complete whey protein. Again, it's possible to do this because the test that was used to determine the total protein content of the supplement did so by examining its total nitrogen content, not specifically the sources of where that nitrogen was coming from. So not by specifically looking at the individual amino acids that were contributing and providing that nitrogen. By doing this, the companies can claim that a supplement has more total protein than it actually has, while also keeping their prices lower, which gives them two legs up on their competition. The problem with this is that not all amino acids signal the same responses within the body. The reason you hear whey is such a good muscle-building protein is because of the specific amino acids it contains, as well as the relative amount of each. However, if you consume a spiked product which no longer has the same amino acid profile that traditional whey protein has, then it's no longer going to have those same favorable muscle-building properties. For example, if you're someone who's going through a pretty intense dieting phase, doing everything you can to prevent the loss of hard-earned muscle, and 70 of your 200 grams of protein per day is coming from one of these spiked supplements, do you think it's going to have an effect on things? My guess would be yes. So how can we protect ourselves from purchasing one of these spiked supplements? Although determining whether a product has been artificially spiked can be difficult, there are still a few things we can do to help protect ourselves. The first thing is to look for products which have an NSF Certified for Sport mark. This marking is a verification that any free-form amino acids which may have been added into the protein were not counted towards its total protein content. The second thing would be to look for a product which has been third-party tested using more specific methods than just looking at the total nitrogen content of a protein. So something which looks at the specific amino acid concentration of a protein or the specific sources from where that nitrogen is coming from. And then thirdly, when you're looking for a protein supplement, look closely at the label for singular amino acids which may have been added. While this isn't harmful, if these amino acids are added in high amounts, this can significantly bring down the total protein content of that supplement if the company chooses to include them in the product's supplement facts label. Likewise, creatine can also be counted towards a supplement's total protein content if the company chooses. Although we can't be 100% sure, without a lab report that is, whether these added singular ingredients are being counted towards a supplement's total protein content, there's probably a good chance that they are. As a final thought, it should be noted that not all protein spiking is malicious and intentional. Some companies add increased levels of certain amino acids to help with the mouthfeel of a product, such as to reduce chalkiness. Additionally, some companies outsource, having other manufacturers produce their proteins for them, and they might not even be aware that their products are being spiked. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and share to help build our community. If you have any ideas for future topics for future videos you'd like to see, just go ahead and throw those down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video.